We shall commence this module by discussing about the great economist David Ricardo. This chapter deals with the theory given by David Ricardo. He was one of the greatest pessimist classical economists. He presented his views on economic development in the famous book titled as The Principles of Political Economy and Taxation, written by him in the year 1817. He predicted that capital economies would end up in a stationary state where there would be no growth and diminishing returns would occur in agricultural sector of these economies. However, in the opinion of Schumpeter, Ricardo never propounded any theory of development. He rather simply discussed about the theory of distribution. Therefore, the theory given by him is considered to be as a detour. The opinion expressed by Schumpeter is, however, one of the opinions, but it does not undermine the importance of Ricardian theory in development economics. Hence, the present chapter makes an attempt to elaborate this theory of development. In order to understand the theory given by Ricardo, we will first begin by the assumptions given by him. He basically assumed a simple economy with two factors of production producing only one commodity, that is corn, with a perfectly inelastic demand. The assumptions of Ricardian theory of development are as follows. All the land is used for the production of one commodity, that is corn. The law of diminishing returns operates on land. The supply of land is fixed. There are two inputs, that is labor and capital, and production process and the inputs are used in a fixed proportion. All laborers are working at subsistence wage. Technology remains constant. Cost of labor, that is wages, they remain fixed. Demand for labor depends upon the accumulation of capital. Productivity of labor does not affect the labor demand. Capital accumulation results from profit. Perfect competition exists in the market and the demand for corn is perfectly inelastic. After studying this module, you shall be able to explain the relative share of inputs in national output, describe the interdependence of agricultural and industrial sector, express the role of savings or capital accumulation as expounded by David Ricardo and implication for growth. Let us now discuss the interrelationship between factors of production. Ricardo developed his theory based on interrelationships among three factors of production, that is landlords, capitalists and laborers. He elaborated the interrelationship among these factors based on the above mentioned assumptions, which can be explained as follows. The entire production of the economy, that is the total product of corn, is distributed among these three factors of production in the form of factor payments, that is rent to the landlords, profit to the capitalists and wages for the laborers. Given the total output of corn, the share of each group can be determined by the following methods. First method is rent. Rent is defined as a reward for the use of land. It is determined by the difference between the average product AP and the marginal product MP of labor working on the land. Mathematically, it can be expressed as follows. Per unit rent is equal to AP minus MP. Total rent is equal to AP minus MP multiplied by L, where AP is the average product of labor, MP is the marginal product of labor and L is the number of laborers working on the land. Second is profit. Profit is defined as the reward for the risk undertaken by the entrepreneur and is defined as the difference between the marginal product and wage rate. Mathematically, it can be expressed as follows. Per unit profit equals to MP minus W. Total profit equals to total output, which is bill plus rent. OQRM equals to OQRT plus OWLM, or total profit is equals to WLTP. Diagrammatically, estimation of profit can be presented as given in the figure. figure which is about estimation of profit. On the horizontal axis, we have measured amount of labor employed in agriculture, and on the vertical axis, we have measured production of corn. Further, with the economic development, total output increases, and as a result of which the wage fund also rises. This situation leads to a proportionate increase in the quantity of labor employed. As there is an increase in the population, the demand for corn also rises. With the increase in the demand for corn, the prices of corn further rises. Moreover, with the application of diminishing returns on land, rent continues to rise and profits have a tendency to fall. Eventually, increasing population gradually eliminates profits. This situation can be explained with the help of a diagram. If the units of labor employed increases from OM to ON, then the total output will be equal to OABN, the total wages will be equal to OWSN, rent equals to WABS, profit will be equal to MP minus W whole multiplied by L, which is NS minus OW multiplied by ON, which is equal to NS minus NS into ON, which is equal to 0 into ON, or it is equal to 0, which is nil, that is the profits would turn out to be 0. The third is the rate of profit. Rate of profit can be defined as the ratio of profits to the wages, and mathematically it can be expressed as the rate of profit equals to profit divided by wages. This is to say that the rate of profit depends on wages, and there exists an inverse relationship between wages and profit. This inverse relationship can be understood with the help of the following procedure. The improvement in agriculture would imply that either the productive capacity of land has increased, or there is employment of better machineries with less workers and producing more output. Now, the increase in output of corn would cause a fall in its prices. As a result, the subsistence wage will also fall owing to employment of lesser workers, but there would be an increase in the level of profits which would result into capital accumulation. This would further increase the demand for labor, and as a result of this, the wage rate would also rise. This would lead to increase in population. Along with this, the demand for corn would further rise, and this would result into rise in price of corn. Therefore, the economy will witness an increase in the wage rate and profit level will decline. In this context, David Ricardo gave the concept of stationary state, which is explained as follows. Stationary state. According to David Ricardo, there is a natural tendency for the profit rate to fall in the economy, so that the country eventually reaches at the stationary state. The stationary state can be explained with the help of the following diagram as given about total product, rent and total population. On the horizontal axis, we have measured level of population, and on the vertical axis, we have measured the difference between total product and rent, that is total product minus rent. The non-linear OP curve is the function of population, which shows that as population increases, then population function will increase at a decreasing rate due to the operation of law of diminishing returns. A straight line OW which passes through the origin measures constant real wage. The vertical difference between horizontal axis and the wage rate line OW measures total wage bill at the different level of population and can be expressed as follows. If the level of population is at ON1, then the wage will be W1N1. When the level of population is ON2, the wage bill will be W2N2, and the level of population is ON, wage bill is W3N3, and it continues further. Foreign trade. Ricardo has always argued in favor of free trade, and he considered it as an important element for the economic development of any nation. Taxes. According to Ricardo, taxes adversely affect the level of investment. The imposition of taxes also curtails the level of income, profit and thus capital accumulation. Therefore, he was never in favor of imposition of taxes. Dynamic theory. This theory is dynamic in nature. It studied the changes among various variables which follow a proper sequence. This reflects the dynamic nature of the theory. Moving on to discuss about the excess of capital accumulation. According to Ricardo, capitalists are responsible for capital accumulation which depends on profits that are reinvested. A capitalist earns profits, and when these profits are reinvested, it leads to capital accumulation. Therefore, capital accumulation can be considered as an outcome of profits. Basically, capital accumulation, which is represented by CA, depends upon two factors which are given below: willingness to save, that is WS, and capacity to save, that is AS. The above discussion can be elaborated with the help of the following functional forms. CA is a function of pi, and which is profit, and CA is a function of AS and WS. Equation 1 depicts capital accumulation as the function of profits, and equation 2 depicts it as a function of capacity to save and willingness to save. Further, this capacity to save is the main instrument of capital accumulation, and it depends upon the net income of the society, which can be expressed as follows: AS equals to function of Y, where Y is the net income of the society. Net income can be defined as the difference between total production and cost of laborers working at subsistence wage rate CW. This can be expressed as follows: Y equals to TP minus CW, or net income equals to surplus. Note, the larger is the surplus, the larger will be the capacity to save, that is AS. This surplus is invested by landlords and capitalists, and the size of surplus depends on the rate of profit. This entire procedure can be expressed with the help of the following flowchart. If profits increase, this will lead to increase in the capital accumulation, which further increases the total production. Increase in the total production which will lead to increase in the wage fund, and this will lead to increase in population, which further increases the demand for corn, and hence the price of corn will increase. The Ricardian theory of development can be summarized in the following points. First, as population increases, the interior grade land is also brought under cultivation to fulfill the increasing demand for corn. Second, the rent on the superior grade land further rises and hence absorb greater share of output produced on this type of land. This reduces the share of capital and labor. Reduction in the share of capital and labor causes decline in profit and wages and tend to fall to subsistence level. This process of rising rents and declining profits continues till the output from the marginal land just covers subsistence wages of laborers employed. Then profit tends to be zero, and hence the stationary state arrives. In this situation of stationary state, the variables will behave in the following fashion. First, capital accumulation tends to stop. Second, population does not grow. Third, the wage rate continues to be at the subsistence levels. Fourth, technical progress ceases to improve. Therefore, profit defined as the difference between total product and rent whole divided by total wage bill. Mathematically, it's total product minus rent divided by total wage bill at different level of population can be expressed as A profit at ON1 population level equals to P1 N1 divided by W1 N1, which is equals to P1 W1. B. Profit at ON2 population level equals P2 N2 divided by W2 N2, which is whole equal to P2 W2. C. Profit at ON3 population level equals to P2 N2 divided by W1 N1, which is equal to P3 W3. Profit at ON2 level population level equals to Sn upon Sn, which is equal to unity. That is, the process will continue till profits disappears altogether at point S, and this point is referred to as the stationary state point. The theory of development as propounded by David Ricardo is criticized on the following grounds. First, emphasis on agricultural development. According to Ricardo, agriculture development plays an important role in economic development of any nation because industrial development to a great extent depends upon the development of agriculture. Second, profit rate. The rate of profit is very important for economic development as it determines the capital accumulation, which is vital for the development of a nation. Third, importance of saving. Ricardo lays emphasis on capital accumulation through savings, which is again important for economic development. Let us now summarize what we have discussed in this module. The theory of development as propounded by David Ricardo, though suffered some limitations, is still an important theory in the development economics. He elaborated how an economy would gradually reach to a state of stationary where capital accumulation would become stagnant or stop. Population would not grow further, labor would not be paid at the subsistence level of wage rate, and there would not be any technical progress. He assumed a simple economy producing only one commodity with two factor inputs, labor and capital, and among them the total production of the economy is distributed. Further, encouraged international trade and did not support the taxation regime. According to him, with the increase in the level of population, the inferior quality of land would also be brought under cultivation. David Ricardo, however, gave too much importance to agricultural sector, while in an economic system, giving too much importance to any one sector would not result in sustained growth. Both the sectors of the economy, that is the traditional agricultural sector and the modern industrial sector, are interdependent as the former provides raw material to the latter and the latter provides the market to the former sector. Overall, the theory of development given by David Ricardo is a benchmark in the history of development economics.